Every second, millions of blood cells travel through your body, carrying oxygen, fighting infections, and stopping bleeding. But have you ever wondered what blood is actually made of? In this video, we'll explore every major component of blood, understand how each one works, and discover why they are essential for life. So, let's dive into the fascinating world flowing inside your veins. Blood is a specialized connective tissue made up of two major components. About 55% of blood is plasma, the liquid portion. The remaining 45% consists of the formed elements, which include red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. Each of these components has a unique role in maintaining life and keeping our body healthy. Let's begin with plasma. Plasma is the straw-colored liquid portion of blood and makes up more than half of its total volume. Nearly 90 to 92% of plasma is water, while the remaining portion contains proteins, nutrients, hormones, electrolytes, clotting factors, and waste products. Think of plasma as the body's transportation system, carrying essential substances to every cell while removing waste products from the body. Let's begin with the most abundant cells in our blood, red blood cells, also known as erythrocytes. Nearly 20 to 30 trillion red blood cells circulate throughout our body at any given moment, making them the most numerous cells in the bloodstream. Each red blood cell has a unique biconcave disc shape. This special shape increases its surface area, allowing oxygen and carbon dioxide to move in and out more efficiently. Unlike most cells in our body, mature red blood cells do not contain a nucleus or other organelles. This creates more space for hemoglobin, the protein responsible for carrying oxygen. Another remarkable feature of red blood cells is their flexibility. They can bend and squeeze through the narrowest capillaries, ensuring that oxygen reaches every tissue and every cell in the body. Without healthy red blood cells, our organs would not receive the oxygen they need to produce energy and function normally. But what gives red blood cells their incredible ability to carry oxygen? The answer lies in a remarkable protein called hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is an iron-containing protein found inside every red blood cell. In fact, it gives blood its characteristic red color. When blood passes through the lungs, hemoglobin binds with oxygen to form oxyhemoglobin. As the blood reaches different tissues, it releases this oxygen, providing every cell in the body with the fuel needed to produce energy. After delivering oxygen, hemoglobin doesn't return empty-handed. It carries a portion of carbon dioxide, a waste product produced by our cells, back to the lungs where it is removed during exhalation. This continuous exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide happens every moment of our lives, keeping every organ functioning normally. When the body doesn't have enough hemoglobin, less oxygen reaches the tissues, leading to symptoms such as fatigue, weakness, shortness of breath, and a condition known as anemia. Now that we know how important hemoglobin is, another question comes to mind. Where are these remarkable red blood cells made? Red blood cells are produced inside the red bone marrow through a fascinating process called erythropoiesis. But the bone marrow doesn't work alone. Whenever the oxygen level in our body drops, the kidneys detect this change and release a hormone called erythropoietin, or simply EPO. Think of EPO as a messenger. It travels to the bone marrow and signals it to produce more red blood cells. As these young cells mature, they gradually lose their nucleus, become flexible, and fill with hemoglobin. Finally, the fully mature red blood cells enter the bloodstream, ready to deliver oxygen to every corner of the body. This entire process ensures that our body always has a fresh supply of healthy red blood cells to meet its oxygen demands. Every red blood cell has an incredible journey. But like all living cells, it also has a limited lifespan. A healthy red blood cell survives for approximately 120 days. During these 4 months, it travels thousands of kilometers through the body's blood vessels, delivering oxygen and removing carbon dioxide with every heartbeat. As the cell grows older, its membrane gradually becomes less flexible and more fragile. This makes it difficult for the aging red blood cell to pass through the tiny blood vessels. Eventually, these old and worn-out cells are removed by the spleen, often called the graveyard of red blood cells. But nothing goes to waste. The iron from hemoglobin is carefully recycled and transported back to the bone marrow, where it is used to produce new red blood cells. This continuous cycle of production, circulation, removal, and recycling ensures that our body always has a healthy supply of red blood cells, working every second to keep us alive. So, what exactly do red blood cells do once they enter the bloodstream? Their primary responsibility is to transport oxygen from the lungs to every tissue and every cell in the body. Every heartbeat sends millions of red blood cells on a journey, delivering the oxygen needed to produce energy. Without this constant supply, our organs simply cannot function. But their job doesn't end there. After delivering oxygen, red blood cells collect a portion of carbon dioxide, a waste product produced by our cells, and carry it back to the lungs, where it is removed every time we exhale. Red blood cells also play an important role in maintaining the body's acid-base balance, helping keep the pH of our blood within a healthy range. Although they may look simple under a microscope, red blood cells are continuously working every second of our lives, keeping every organ supplied with oxygen and every breath meaningful. So far, we've learned about red blood cells, the oxygen carriers of our body. Now, let's meet another remarkable group of cells, the white blood cells, or WBCs, also known as leukocytes. Unlike red blood cells, white blood cells contain a nucleus and are an important part of our immune system. Their mission is simple but critical: to defend our body against infections, inflammation, allergies, parasites, and even abnormal cells. Although they are much fewer in number than red blood cells, never underestimate their importance. A healthy adult normally has between 4,000 and 11,000 white blood cells in every microliter of blood. White blood cells are broadly classified into two major groups. The first group is called granulocytes, which include neutrophils, eosinophils, and basophils. These cells contain visible granules within their cytoplasm. The second group is called agranulocytes, which include lymphocytes and monocytes. These cells do not have visible cytoplasmic granules. Each of these 5 white blood cells performs a unique role, and together they form a highly coordinated defense system that protects us every single day. As you can see in the differential count table, neutrophils are the most abundant, followed by lymphocytes, while basophils are the least common. Remember this important point: white blood cells may be few in number, but they are the brave warriors of our immune system, standing guard 24 hours a day, ready to protect us from disease. Now that we've met the white blood cells, it's time to meet the entire WBC squad. Think of them as a highly trained security team, where every member has a unique responsibility. First, we have neutrophils. These are the first responders of the immune system. Whenever bacteria or fungi invade the body, neutrophils are usually the first cells to arrive and destroy them through a process called phagocytosis. Next are lymphocytes, the intelligent defenders. B lymphocytes produce antibodies, while T lymphocytes directly attack infected cells and coordinate the immune response. They also help our body remember previous infections, which is the basis of long-term immunity. Then come monocytes, the cleanup crew. After entering body tissues, they develop into macrophages, removing dead cells, destroying microbes, and presenting antigens to activate other immune cells. Eosinophils are the parasite fighters. They play an important role in defending the body against parasitic infections and are also involved in allergic conditions such as asthma. Finally, basophils are the alarm cells. Although they are the least common white blood cells, they release histamine and heparin during allergic reactions, helping initiate the body's inflammatory response. All white blood cells are produced in the red bone marrow. Some, especially lymphocytes, continue their development in lymphoid organs such as the thymus, spleen, and lymph nodes. Another interesting fact is that not all white blood cells live for the same amount of time. Some survive only for hours or days, while certain lymphocytes can remain in the body for years, providing long-lasting immune memory. When doctors see an increase or decrease in the white blood cell count, it often provides an important clue about infection, inflammation, allergies, or disorders affecting the bone marrow. Remember this. Every white blood cell has a different superpower, but together they form one powerful defense system that keeps us healthy every single day. We've explored the oxygen carriers and the body's defenders. Now let's meet the smallest yet one of the most important components of blood, platelets, also known as thrombocytes. Unlike red and white blood cells, platelets are not complete cells. They are tiny cell fragments produced in the red bone marrow from giant cells called megakaryocytes. In fact, a single megakaryocyte can produce thousands of platelets. Although they are small, platelets have one life-saving mission: to stop bleeding. When a blood vessel is injured, platelets are the first to arrive at the damaged site. They stick to the exposed vessel wall, become activated, and release chemical signals that attract more platelets. These platelets then clump together to form a temporary platelet plug. Finally, fibrin strands strengthen the plug, creating a stable blood clot that prevents further blood loss while the damaged vessel heals. A healthy person normally has between 150,000 and 450,000 platelets in every microliter of blood. Even though their lifespan is only about 7 to 10 days, the bone marrow continuously produces new platelets to replace the old ones. When the platelet count falls too low, a condition called thrombocytopenia, the risk of excessive bleeding increases. On the other hand, an abnormally high platelet count, known as thrombocytosis, can increase the risk of unwanted blood clots, which may lead to serious conditions such as stroke or heart attack. So remember this simple idea. Red blood cells deliver oxygen, white blood cells protect the body, and platelets prevent blood loss. Without platelets, even a small cut could become dangerous. Now that we've explored each blood component individually, let's compare them side by side. Think of this table as a quick revision guide. Plasma is the straw-colored liquid portion of blood. It acts as the transport medium, carrying nutrients, hormones, proteins, electrolytes, clotting factors, and waste products throughout the body. Red blood cells are biconcave cells without a nucleus. Their primary function is to transport oxygen using hemoglobin. They survive for about 120 days and are produced in the red bone marrow. White blood cells are nucleated cells with different shapes and functions. They defend the body against infections and diseases. Unlike red blood cells, their lifespan varies from a few hours to several years, depending on the cell type. They are produced in the red bone marrow, with some maturing in lymphoid tissues. Platelets are tiny cell fragments, not complete cells. Their main role is to stop bleeding by forming blood clots. They are also produced in the red bone marrow and usually survive for 7 to 10 days. One more important difference is their normal count. Red blood cells are present in millions, white blood cells in thousands, and platelets in hundreds of thousands per microliter of blood. Remember this simple summary? Plasma transports. Red blood cells carry oxygen. White blood cells protect. Platelets stop bleeding. Together, these four components work in perfect harmony to keep our body alive and healthy.
Understanding blood components is not just important for exams, it's essential in clinical practice. Every day, laboratory professionals analyze blood samples to help doctors diagnose diseases and monitor a patient's health. For example, a low red blood cell count or reduced hemoglobin level may indicate anemia, while an increased count could suggest polycythemia. Changes in the white blood cell count often provide valuable clues about what's happening inside the body. An elevated white blood cell count may point toward an infection or inflammation, whereas a low count can increase the risk of serious infections. Platelet count is equally important. Too few platelets can lead to excessive bleeding, while too many may increase the risk of unwanted blood clots. This is why one of the most commonly requested laboratory investigations is the complete blood count, or CBC. A single blood sample can provide valuable information about red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, and hemoglobin, helping clinicians make accurate diagnoses and monitor treatment. As future laboratory professionals, always remember that every number on a laboratory report represents a patient's health. Accurate testing and careful interpretation can make a real difference in patient care.
Medical science can seem overwhelming at first, but a few simple memory tricks can make learning much easier. Let's start with the blood components. Remember this simple sequence. Plasma transports. Red blood cells carry oxygen. White blood cells protect. And platelets stop bleeding. Now let's remember the 5 types of white blood cells. Use the mnemonic, never let monkeys eat bananas. N stands for neutrophils, L for lymphocytes, M for monocytes, E for eosinophils, and B for basophils. You can also remember their functions with another simple trick. Neutrophils are the first responders. Lymphocytes provide long-term immunity. Monocytes are the body's cleaners. Eosinophils fight parasites and participate in allergies. Basophils trigger allergic and inflammatory reactions. These simple memory tricks will help you recall the different blood cells quickly during exams and, more importantly, while working in the laboratory. Before we finish, let's quickly revise the key concepts we've learned. Blood is a specialized connective tissue made up of plasma and the formed elements. Plasma forms about 55% of blood and acts as the transport medium for nutrients, hormones, proteins, clotting factors, and waste products. Red blood cells, or erythrocytes, are the most abundant blood cells. They contain hemoglobin, transport oxygen throughout the body, and have an average lifespan of 120 days. White blood cells, also known as leukocytes, are the body's defense cells. They protect us from infections and are classified into granulocytes and agranulocytes, with each type performing a specific role in our immune system. Platelets are tiny cell fragments responsible for blood clotting. They help prevent excessive blood loss whenever a blood vessel is injured. Together, these 4 components work continuously to transport, protect, and heal, keeping our body functioning every moment of our lives. This final revision sheet is designed to help you connect concepts rather than simply memorize facts. Let's focus on the key points that matter most. Start with the white blood cell differential count. Whenever you see an abnormal white blood cell count, don't just look at the number. Look at which type has changed. An increase in neutrophils usually suggests a bacterial infection or acute inflammation. Higher lymphocyte counts are commonly associated with viral infections and the body's adaptive immune response. Monocytes often increase during chronic infections and help remove dead cells and tissue debris through phagocytosis. Eosinophils become more prominent in allergic conditions, asthma, and parasitic infections. Basophils are the least common white blood cells, but they play an important role by releasing histamine and heparin during allergic and inflammatory reactions. Now look at the rapid recall chart. Whenever you are revising, ask yourself 4 simple questions. Who carries oxygen? Red blood cells. Who protects the body? White blood cells. Who stops bleeding? Platelets. And who transports everything throughout the body? Plasma. If you remember these 4 functions, you'll already understand the foundation of hematology. Next, pay attention to these high-yield facts. Blood is a specialized connective tissue. Nearly all blood cells are produced in the red bone marrow. Now, here's one of the most important rules in laboratory medicine. Never interpret laboratory results in isolation. Always correlate laboratory findings with the patient's history, clinical symptoms, physical examination, and other investigations before reaching a diagnosis. That's how laboratory science supports accurate clinical decision making. Finally, think of blood as one perfectly coordinated team. Plasma is the highway that carries nutrients, hormones, proteins, and waste products throughout the body. Red blood cells act as oxygen carriers, continuously supplying every tissue with the oxygen needed for life. White blood cells stand as the body's defense force, protecting us from infections and harmful invaders. Platelets remain on constant alert, repairing damaged blood vessels and preventing excessive bleeding whenever an injury occurs. Each component has a unique responsibility, but together they work in perfect coordination every second of every day to keep the human body alive and healthy. And that's the real beauty of hematology. Not just learning individual cells, but understanding how they work together as one remarkable system.
Congratulations on completing today's lesson. I hope this video helped you understand the different components of blood in a simple and memorable way. If you found this lesson helpful, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to LabVisey for more easy to understand laboratory science lessons. In our next episode, we'll explore one of the most important laboratory investigations, the complete blood count or CBC. We'll learn what each parameter means, including hemoglobin, red blood cell count, white blood cell count, platelet count, hematocrit, MCV, MCH, MCHC, and RDW, and most importantly, how to interpret them in clinical practice. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and remember, at LabVisey, we make laboratory science simple. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson.